What's going on, you guys? Hope you're having an awesome day. What? What's that? What? Oh, this little thing? Oh, it's just an Arri Alexa, one of the greatest cinema cameras known to mankind. Just shoots all the Oscar-winning movies, stuff like that, but totally forgot that was even there. No, actually, we have it booked out for the next 2 weeks for a project we're shooting right now, and when we're not using the camera for that project, I get to hold on to it, put it in my YouTube videos, and just flex. But today, we're not talking about the Arri Alexa. Today, we are talking about the brand new, what color is that? This is gold. And this is pink. This is kind of like in the middle of flesh. I don't know. I would not call this gold. I wanted to get the white or black, but I'm always really late at ordering the phone. So the only one they had in stock was the gold. And I was like, I'll take it. And this shows up and it's pink. But I don't really care that it's pink, okay? I don't have masculinity complex issues, okay? I could totally rock a pink phone, not care what people think. I'm just gonna take it and cover it with a matte black case. Seems like it's generally being received very poorly by most people. Oh, there's absolutely nothing new. It's basically the same exact phone, which in the spec sheet may look like that. I always try my best to never judge a camera by its spec sheet because, I mean, that's why I'm shooting on a Canon 80D that's HD when all these other cameras have 4K capabilities. And this is a perfect example right now because seriously, most of the movies you see on the big screen are shot on an Arri Alexa. And these guys have gotten so much criticism for lacking in their spec sheet. If you looked at the spec sheet of this thing, it'll be like a 3.2K sensor and you'll be like, wow, it doesn't even have a 4K sensor. Maxes out at 3200 ISO and all this other stuff. Why is this camera so expensive? And the reason is because they have long time ago decided we don't really care what the spec sheet says. We just want to make the best possible camera. The only way to find out if it's actually been improved is to go out and do some real world tests. So let's look at some footage that we shot over the weekend. Oh crap, I just realized this phone isn't called the XS Max, it's the 10S Max, the 10S, not XS. On the 10, this is all just looks white up here, but on the 10S Plus, 10S Max, oh, I keep saying it wrong. 10S Max, you can see that all the details are in there in the sunset. Also, the contrast on my face on the 10 looks a little bit kind of like sharpened, makes me look a little bit gritty and dirty, which I probably am because I'm running around in dirt. The 10S immediately picks up that sky and brings it down so we can see the sunset. Let's see if I could get this 10 to just kind of do the same thing. Okay, bring in that sunset. Bring in that sunset. See, the 10 is either going to expose to my face or the sunset. It can't really balance them both out because the HDR just not good enough. The 10S Max, look at that. It's having no problem just exposing my face. Look at that. That's really impressive. The camera just does it all in itself. See that? Like, I'm gonna come down and you see it just grab that sky and bring in the detail. It's all from that HDR. It's really impressive. But you guys get the point. See, look at that. Oh, HDR, love it. On the HDR with the 10S Max, you can see it constantly adjusting to the environment. For example, on this shot, the 10S Max immediately knew that I was pointing into the shade, so it adjusted the white balance and the brightness and just set up the camera nicely for that. While the 10 kind of struggled and it was not as reactive and not as quick at getting the optimal shot. It's never gonna replace a really great quality sensor and really great quality lens. But Apple must have been like, okay, this is what we have to work with. We can't put a full frame sensor in there. We can't put big lenses on there. We're gonna have to work with this camera and make it look as good as they can. So they're putting a lot of effort into the post-processing. Most people who shoot videos with their phones, they don't even realize they're shooting HDR. But as soon as you point your camera to something, it starts to analyze what you're shooting and make adjustments right then and there. It really feels like you're having someone color grade your footage right there live. Now, starting off by looking at some of the super slow-mo footage, this is 240 frames per second in HD. And there's a pretty significant increase in quality here with the iPhone 10. I always noticed the footage came out looking a little bit clumpy, almost looking kind of blurry and soft and just not that great. The super slow motion on the 10S, I wouldn't call it great, but it's an improvement. I still don't recommend ever touching the zoom on any smartphone camera. This is 6 times zoom just so you can see the extremes. I don't think either of these cameras look better. It does seem like a little bit more sharpening going on with the 10S Max. Now, looking at low light, the iPhone 10 was never never really a great low light camera. The 10S, still not that much better. You still can't see in the dark with either of these cameras, but 10S Max definitely has a little bit more quality. It maintains a little bit more of that information and detail in the frame, so that's nice. But here's another thing that I noticed that was a huge issue for me in the past, and they fixed it. I didn't even know they fixed it. The image stabilization on the 10 was awesome, except for when you start running with it, or if it gets certain vibrations. The 7 Plus and the 10, if you stick it out the window of a car, it just gives you this like jello-y weird vibration effect. Maybe it's because it's scared for its life, but also because the wind hitting the lens just gives it that weird frequency. And even just in my last video, I talked about how phone stabilizations act up all weird when it's on a gimbal because it's trying to counter these weird vibrations. It just doesn't work. It gives you this weird jello effect sometimes. But now they've definitely made a huge improvement to this lens to where it doesn't do that nearly as much. Now, if you're gonna be using your phone to vlog, there's two big things I noticed. One is that this is the front-facing camera, the selfie camera. It's in HD in both cameras, but notice that on the 10S Plus, it's a little bit more zoomed in. It's a little bit closer to my face. I would rather have it be a little bit wider, just like the 10, but then you do get better image quality out of the 10S Plus. So there's a little bit of trade-off there. You get better image quality, but more zoomed in, so you're like up in my face a whole lot more. Another thing I noticed right away was the sound quality. Right now, you've been listening to the audio from the iPhone 10S Plus. We're gonna switch it over to the iPhone 10 real quick. And here we go. We're still in the same exact spot, but now we're listening to the audio from the iPhone 10. Notice it doesn't sound as full and as detailed, so I prefer the sound from the iPhone 10S Plus, which we're about to switch back to. Boom, back to the 10S sound. It's fuller, richer, deeper. I love it. And people are looking at me now, and I feel like people think I'm crazy, so here we go. I'm gonna end the video here. See you later.